Good. Hello, everyone. Yes, Food Approach. Thanks for joining. Good evening. Good evening. How are you today, Pastor Tai? Pastora, thank you too for joining. Good evening. Yes. I know it's Pastora. Yes, Baki, Osage, thanks for joining. Thank you for joining. So, let me just get right to it while I try to notify other people. Today we're talking about the topic is marriage at any cost. Marriage at any cost. I really wish, please tag singles that you know that really need to listen to this. Singles and married, everyone that, because even as married people, we have younger people that we influence and who come to us for counsel. This topic concerns the relationship topic that concerns everyone. So, for the benefit of those who don't know me, my name is Tinola Agbabiaka. I'm a certified relationship counselor, amongst many other hats that I wear. And this is like a forum to really talk, teach, and counsel about relationships. I've been married for over 26 years. And that sounds like forever. Yeah. I've been married for that long. I'm a mother of 3. And my assignment basically is to ensure that people are able to have a great understanding of relationship issues and live their best lives in whichever relationships they are in, whether single or married. So today, I want to talk about marriage at any cost. Today's topic was just inspired. If you have been following me, there have been some videos I've been sending. It was about a young lady here that's had 15 abortions. Yes, you heard right. 15 abortions. And in as much as, you just try to think about it and think, 15. 15. Even our interviewer was like 15. And 15 is a lot. 15 is a whole lot. And, there have been people who have commented online and offline with regards to this. And I said, okay, maybe one of the things I should try and do is, because when you sit back and begin to think that, why would somebody have 15 abortions? Why? Whether it be for the same person or for different people. I think in this particular situation, it was for different people. I don't think all the 15 were from the same person. But that number is really, it's frightening. And it's more frightening when she mentioned that her mom was shocked. And I'm sure if you're a mother here or a father, the idea that could, God forbid, be your own daughter or niece or nephew or son makes it very scary. So, but the background of what she was saying in that interview, which I managed to post, I think in like 7 or 8 different segments, was she wanted to marry. She wanted to marry at all costs. Okay, so fine. And I get it, and I keep saying it. the fact that you want to marry, there's nothing wrong with desiring marriage. Absolutely. Good evening, Keikos. Thanks for joining. The fact that you want to marry, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, God puts the desire, it's stronger in some people than in some. I met a few people that have said that they are not married. They don't want to. And very few. But majority just feel, they want to settle down. And that's the point. We call being married settling down. And it would be if we settled with the right person. I don't know if you are understanding what I'm saying. So when we talk about marriage, I mean, a lot of us are parents here. One day we want our children to get married and settle down. But the challenge is that the actual desperation to get married makes that settling down almost impossible. Because in the desperation, whatever you're desperate to do, you're bound to make mistakes. There's just because the patience, the clarity, the wisdom that time gives. If you're desperate, you jump all those, you move time far, you move ahead of time. Let me say that, or you jump through steps that perhaps if you're taking time out to take a look at, it would have exposed one or two or three things. So the question now is that why are people desperate to get married? Why? I know singles that have done everything. Their life, they are living a wreck just because they think until they get married, their life cannot be better than what it is. Meanwhile, I have also singles, because I work and talk with a lot of them. I have singles who feel, if I get married, fine. If I don't get married, fine. I'm going to live my best life. And of course, with all the stories that we hear, we know that the fact that one is married does not mean your life is better than a single person. It's just that whenever I try to tell single people, they just don't want to hear. Some would say, let me just marry. No, it doesn't matter. Let me just marry. But it does matter. Because in marriage, people lose their sanity. People lose their lives. People lose their sense of self-worth if you marry wrong. So marriage at all costs. Our case study is the young lady. I still don't know how to play video on my live. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to, because I really wish I could have played one of the videos so we can. I guess I'm going to try and practice that for next time. I don't know how to do it. Is this a young age? I don't know how they do it. Oh well. But then talking about the video, she said she wanted to marry and she had 15 abortions. And yes, that number is outrageous, it's unbelievable. But there are people who, she's telling her story, that's why we know. We are hearing and we are being, shocked. There's so many people with similar stories that are unable to tell theirs. So I started thinking, I had a conversation, and with my husband. He was saying, how could she have been so stupid? How could she have been so stupid? And initially I'm like, well, yes. No matter what anybody says, she was stupid. Now the question is, what made her stupid? Having 15 abortions is not a normal thing for any normal human being. But then there must be a background, which I told her. I said there must be a background story to this. Now, as parents and even adults, and we sometimes program our children into a particular direction by our own actions. In other words, what we do, for instance, if a woman stays in a battered marriage or battered relationship, you have automatically sent messages to your children that no matter what happens, marriage is the only way to live. You cannot leave this marriage. And those are the messages that women who stay in abusive relationships send out. They claim that they are staying because of their children. But unfortunately, most of the damage that they do to those children is taken from their actions in staying. And I meet and speak to a lot of young single children, semi-adults, or who say they don't want to get married. When you ask them why, say what they've seen of marriage around them, around their parents, or even family members, they think, no thank you, I'd rather be happy alone. And that's where the problem comes from, the root, when the behavior of the parents, the actions of the parents in the presence of their children. These are the background influences that can make somebody think that I have to get married at all costs. Now, secondly, what about words that we say to our children too? I remember when I was much younger, I had a friend whom the mom would tell that, do you know that you are very ugly? Do you know that as ugly as you are, it will be difficult for you to find? This was her own mother telling her. It wasn't like an outsider. You can imagine a mother saying such terrible words to her own child. So invariably, what that puts her in is a position of she lost every sense of self-worth, especially when the other children were, her younger ones, they will point out how beautiful those ones were, and then keep telling her she's ugly. Such a child is going to grow up craving or looking for approval in the wrongest places. So, let me go on. I'm ready for them. No idea. Okay. So, we go on. So really, words. What are those words that we say to our children? What are those words that we say to even family or friends? There's nobody that is ugly. Yes, they may not. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, really, honestly. Because you find out that some people will be deemed to be, beautiful, but they are not what anybody wants. When you meet the person for you, the person is going to go straight for you, irrespective of what any other person says or thinks about you. So that's very key. Then, what did I put down here? Talking about background influences, I've spoken about behavior, words, and then actions too. Actions. How do we treat our children? What makes them think that they must get out there and marry at all costs? We all desire, I'm a parent, and I desire for my children to marry and marry well. But that marry well is better than just marry. I don't want any kind of marriage for my children. I don't want any nonsense person for my children. So my goal is more of getting the right people to marry, as opposed to just marrying anyway at any cost. If you like to come up and just share a thing or two about what I'm talking about, please let me know. Send me a request and I'll put you on, so that I'm not just talking. Good. So I also wrote here about experiences. There's some experiences. The account that we're talking about, the mother was shocked. I'm just thinking 15 abortions were not done in 1 year. They were not done in 2 years or 3 years. So as a mother, were there signs that she could have picked on? Were there, I don't know. I can't understand how she was unable to pick up. Maybe would have been mood swings. I don't know what it could have been for her not to know that her child was pregnant for 15 times and removed the pregnancies 15 times. Now that's for the parents. The lady herself, there were questions I was asking. I really wish I could talk to her and ask some questions, because I see now that she has started fancying herself as some counselor herself, and I don't think, in my own humble opinion, that she's ready for that at all. Because in Nigeria, once you go through an experience, automatically you become a counselor. I just don't understand. And I keep saying that there's a difference between going through a situation, knowing why or how you got into that, situation, and understanding how to get people out of it. So there are 3 ways to it: the prevention, the managing the experience, and then the cure. You can go through an experience and have no idea how you got it, and even have no idea if you have even gotten out, except maybe, of course, you now come into a situation whereby, what if you are faced with the same scenario? Are you going to do something else? In the example that we gave, the guy was the one that said, I'm not doing again. Now my question is, if that guy, because she tried all sorts of things to keep that guy even after she had done her 15th abortion. So the question is, if that guy had said, I will still marry you and marry you, would that in itself have been the kind of relationship she should find herself in? So these are the various questions that actually need to be, asked. Because oftentimes we get into relationships. I keep telling people, it's not every relationship that you are invited into that you should accept. It's not every party, it's not every friendship you should accept. And somehow, I don't know, a lot of people are so perhaps bereft of people to talk to connect with, that they end up connecting with the wrong people just because the person asked. The fact that you want to be my friend does not mean you are the kind of friend I need in my life. I feel marriage proposals, there should be more, no, I'm not marrying you, as opposed to people setting up all sorts of clapping over nonsense. Because oftentimes you find out that a great percentage of these public marriage proposals are hinged on abusive relationships. So what they just do is come out and set up some public proposal for the gram, and then everybody will clap, they put it on Instagram, they put it on every, and then the horror starts when they do get married. So in terms of wanting to get married at all costs, what made this young lady think that if she doesn't get married, her life is not going to be? And there was something she mentioned in that conversation about she wanted to get married to prove her father wrong. The thing about proving other people wrong or doing things because of other people is, at the end of the day, you are the one going to be in that relationship. I know people that friends encourage them to marry some people, and eventually you get to live, it's your life. It's always best to take decisions based on your personal conviction rather than being influenced by somebody somewhere who says, go ahead, go and do it. And then we all have different capacity in life. What I can endure, you may not be able to endure it. So we are two different individuals. There are people that in relationships, there are deal breakers, there are people that have cancelled that cheating is no big deal to them. So some will even tell you if their partner is going to cheat, they don't want to know about it. Meanwhile, there are some people that cheating is a deal breaker. Once you step out, that's it. They won't, and then you find some people coming to say, no, what's the big deal? Everybody cheats. Statements like that, it annoys and infuriates some people. So what am I saying? Your own deal breakers and preferences and wants and desires and likes and it's unique to each person. What I like may not necessarily be what you like, and that's how life is. And that's why it's very important to take decisions and be careful of the counsel that you seek, who you seek counsel from. I keep saying that about counseling. It is the first thing the average, let me say, African does, is to call a friend to ask for counsel. I only get when those who come for counsel, for professional counseling, are those who have gone round. They've been advised by friends, they've been advised by family, they've been advised by some spiritual people who have no clue what is going on. So everything is all messed up. So by the time they come, they expect magic. And I'm like, excuse me, all these things you've gone through so many. By the time they tell you what they have gone through, A said, go and do this. B said, you have done that, do this again. It's a mess. I said, I don't like to attend to, issues like that. I want the one that, God has already finished. And when they come to me, it's just for me to just say this, do that, and then the testimony comes. But no, what we do here, rather than seek godly counsel from those who know what they're talking about. And I keep telling people also, who you take counsel from, you have to know. I wouldn't it's only Nigerians that I know. Somebody posted it on that take counsel about how to make money from a poor man. It's only Nigerians that once they want in Nigeria, you find people who are not even married giving counsel on marriage. You have people who don't have children of theirs counseling on children. And I keep wondering how Taking care of a niece or a nephew is not the same as taking care of your own child. After all, whatever you can do to the niece, and at the end of the day, you give them back to their owner. Your child is your child. It's not going anywhere. So these are the issues that we have. So this lady that has had 15 abortions, Ambra Cup says, I don't think the woman has a high opinion of her worth. You must know what you are worth before going into any union. Otherwise, you sell yourself short. Absolutely. Absolutely. If you don't know what you stand for, then you fall for everything. That's just it. If you go into a relationship and like, which is part of what I talk about too, in terms of know who you are before you go into any relationship. You have to know who you are, what you will take, what you will not take, how you want your relationship to be. So immediately, even before you get into the relationship, you will see the red flags because you already stand for something. But when it's anybody goes, then you keep falling from one person to the other. So I was talking about counsel. Who counsels you matter. The experiences and the wealth of knowledge of who counsels, especially in relationships. You see, you can read a book. You can be a doctor. You can be an engineer, a lawyer, and read books and give people advice or treat people according to what. But relationship counseling is very different, because even the Bible says is wisdom. If you lack a certain measure of wisdom, there is no way you can succeed in relationship counseling, because no two stories are exactly the same. The scripture tells us that, it's by wisdom a house is built. Wisdom is something that it's a gift from God. It's not something that everybody has. I keep saying that. When you have two people come with two different, seemingly same situation, but speaking to each one of them, you would immediately know that these people have different backgrounds, different experiences. The parties involved have different temperaments. They have different educational, financial background, exposure. The way you counsel the two of them, it can never ever be the same exact solution, because it will take wisdom to manage a particular situation, and perhaps something else to manage another one. So counseling should not just be taken, because counseling, the wrong counsel can create a lifetime problem for anyone. The wrong person can just drop something in and then you go ahead with it and you run into problems. Now, this 15 abortion lady, and I'm thinking, because I wrote here support. Who are friends? She doesn't have friends. She doesn't have support, because a lot of times our friends, we have, yes, people keep saying they are friends, they are bad friends. Yes, there are a lot of bad friends, but then there are also lots of good friends, godly friends who will put you in the right direction. The sad thing that I've noticed is that oftentimes we don't like those friends who tell you the truth. You stay away from, because the truth is usually always bitter. But these are people who will help one stay in the right direction. I don't believe that this lady that went through 15 abortions didn't have friends. At least one person that can say, come, this is your number 8, oh, you must not do this again. I don't understand. And then even family, we have established that. I am pretty sure there's a situation with the family, because when there are background issues with your family, like you're estranged or the dynamics are funny, that's when issues like this happen. Because then especially for a girl child, the boy child usually goes towards drugs and maybe bad gangs and everything, but the girl child would usually gravitate towards things like sexual immorality, yes, bad gangs too, and oftentimes drugs too, but mainly that sexual immorality, prostitution and all of that. And even if it's not a full-blown prostitute outside, in the bid to seek love in the wrong places, we keep falling into the hands of different guys who would promise to love. And of course, the guys, the way of expressing love is sleeping with her. Now, I also thought about, which is why I said I do agree about the stupidity of that situation, because guess what, if the partner, because she also mentioned the fact that she didn't want the guys didn't want to use birth control, but I'm thinking, this is her body 15 times. If the other party is not using birth control, if you must have sex, why didn't she? Why what happened to morning after? Was there no remorse after having sex in the morning? I feel, from what I've heard, and like I said, I would really love to have a conversation with her, is that what's programmed in your head that pregnancy makes a man marry a woman? Because I think that's also the foundation of all this baby mama drama that we have all over the place. People having sex with either married or unmarried men and keeping the seed. We have an era where I'm sure there are so many birth control options that the doctors will be able to tell more about that, And then there's the morning after. There's I think they said up to food approach, doctor, food approach, tell us, because I think up to even 72 hours or something, you can still take some, Why would you wait till you are pregnant? I feel her situation, she really needs deep therapy, because I feel there was a desire to hurt herself, as opposed to just the simple explanation of, I wanted to get married, so I kept getting pregnant. No, there must be, I believe it's called masochism. There's a desire to hurt herself, to inflict pain on herself, and that comes from a certain background that unfortunately is not exposed. We're not privy to that information. So as parents, as single people, I keep saying, the fact that you are pregnant for someone does not mean, she sounds like the one who had displaced hope. Yes, I do agree, but I have a problem with the fact that even if her partners were not, especially when she had a baby before. So, there's, and correct me if I'm wrong, I understand that there are people who, once you've had a first, if you hadn't had a baby before, it's possible that you don't know your cycle in terms of how you get pregnant. But after your first baby, you have an idea of how this is somebody that had a baby before, and you said you don't want to have another baby. You had a baby out of wedlock before, and you said you don't want to have another baby out of wedlock, but proceeded to do 15 abortions. It doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. It's hard to understand. It's hard to understand, because let's assume that, okay, after that first baby, she got pregnant again, and she realizes, child, she doesn't want to have this baby. The first thing to do is to remove the pregnancy, isn't it? But that will be abortion number 1. Then she kept doing these abortions until number 15. How is that possible? Really, anybody that can connect me with, I really want to. There are deeper things to unearth from this story of 15 abortions. And has been said before, lack of self-worth. Because a lot of people who maybe have unprotected sex are sorry in the morning after, when they all the passion, and as you know, they are sorry and are looking for ways out of. But how can you, if a human being, keep doing the same thing, and you only stopped when the other party said, I'm not doing again? Then let's go to it is not possible in your books. Thank you. I don't understand it. It sounds impossible. If she wasn't saying, and I don't know why she would come out and lie, because 15 abortions is ridiculous. It's unbelievable. It's ridiculous. So now we're going to go to faith. I hope Pastor Taiwo, are you there? Pastora, because we're talking about faith, and she mentioned something about they were in church. She was in the choir. This guy was going to be a pastor. This guy that she had the 15th abortion for, we have no idea whether a chunk of those abortions were with the guy too. But this guy was going to be, this is a church where I watched those clips. Yes, Food Approach. I watched those clips. One cannot ever understand the thoughts that drive the actions. It's really tough. I've thought about it over and over and over again, and I believe very strongly that there's such a depraved, sickening background to this story that has not yet been told, because no sane person does it. I don't even think a mad person would do something like this. Even an insane person will not do something like that. So I feel very strongly that her motivation to prove her father wrong indicates she had a troubled past. Absolutely. There's something wrong. I would not be surprised if she had been abused continuously as a child. I feel there's more to that story than it's been told. So I was talking about faith and the fact that she was even in church. Sometimes I sit back and I wonder, please, what kind of sermon were they? Because she was even talking about the guy and how he would heal people, he would preach it. This we have to begin to all this is it Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde behavior that happens in church. Something else on the pulpit, something else off the pulpit. Has to stop. And it has to stop for as long as we as individuals are able to speak up and speak out. It has to stop. How can somebody be doing all of that, yet he impregnated something and he didn't want a pregnant bride? If he didn't want a pregnant bride, why was he sleeping with his bride to be? And you know, the sad part is that ultimately she was even shielding this guy. We don't know the guy's name, but we know her, we know her face. That's part of why I felt, I don't think it was a therapy. I think what that guy, the interviewer, does is just take people's stories and air them. But that's what I always ask, to what purpose? Because that young lady needs serious therapy, serious one. Because she never mentioned the guy's name. The guy is probably, still doing what he knows how to do best, impregnating people all over the place. And that's really what happens. The women end up packing all the shame on their head while the guy walks around freely. He's probably happily married somewhere, happily or unhappily. And guess what? Even if she had bothered to mention him, his congregation members will rise up and fight her and say she's lying. She wants to ruin his ministry. It will deny it. And then their pastor that they went to, that after such a terrible traumatic experience, all he could say was that, I break this relationship in the name of the Father, of the Son, and of the Holy Ghost. I don't understand. She told a story, but succeeded in shielding everybody else that aided and helped her inflict such shame and pain on herself. So guess what? These people are out there probably doing the same thing. No lessons have been learned. And I know part of her story. She mentioned something about still having a child after the 15 abortions. But the question is, did she have it yet out of wedlock, or is she married? And if she's married now, her healing or story would have been better served if her spouse was seated by her while she was telling the story. Because a lot of times, and I keep telling people, when you come out and share your story, that's just the beginning. A lot of people share stories because they expect sympathy from people. They don't get it. It's not everybody that will sympathize with your situation. It's not everybody that will say, yeah, oh, she went through hell. No. There are people who will call her stupid. There are people who will curse out. There are people who will decide that they're never going to talk to her again. She will lose friends and maybe family. There are people who will come out and say it didn't happen. There are people who will come out and say don't associate with that woman's family or children because of what she has let out. So a lot of times I keep telling people, before you share your story, you have to have owned it to the extent that you are properly healed. You have gone through a process whereby it is clear that you're healed, that before you tell your story. Otherwise you get into trouble. And sometimes when expectations are not met, people fall back and relapse. I pray she doesn't, do that. So basically, I'm wondering what kind of church that is. And this is part of following the pastor and not Christ. Because if she was grounded, even in our own Bible and scriptures, because she was also saying something like she had people who were praying with her for her marriage to stand. A man she's not married to, who were praying that is the devil, the man must not go. Like how? I keep telling people, if you are not married to someone, you have no right to put the person's name in your prayers. Yes, once you are joined to that person in matrimony, that's your wife, that is your husband. So you can put the person's name, you can put the person's middle name, just put as many as you want to drive the prayer home. But even if as long as you are not married, you have not said I do to this person, that may not be who God wants for you. A lot of people force God's hands through prayers. So it just allows them have the permissive will. Then when they get into the marriage, you hear stories like, and I told God, I talked to God about this. No, you didn't talk to God about this. You told God what you wanted. And then he was like, okay, do what you wish. As opposed to, if this is your will, Lord, let it stand. If not, let it go. So really, marriage at any cost, is it worth it? Because, like, let's assume this guy had said, okay, we're going to get married, and he marries her. Would that marriage have been worth all the 15 abortions that she went through? I think not. I think anything that you're desperate for, you must stop and step back and let God. A lot of times, what desperation does is makes you do things that you won't normally do. And I bet you that even the young lady herself would look back and in a quiet moment think, how on earth could I have been so stupid? She must. There's no way that she won't. Because it's really something that it's hard to understand or comprehend. For those who want to marry, I pray, I speak at a lot of singles programs and everything, and I see the eagerness. I see the desire in some people, to marry. And I pray, God gives them who would give them peace, as opposed to just marrying just anybody, or rushing into marriages that will make them crazy. There are people in marriages that marry people who wish they could get out, or who wish they had never even gotten in. And that is not the desire of God for marriage. That's not the desire of God for marriage. Marriage is not supposed to be endured, it's supposed to be enjoyed. So if you must marry at all costs, then you must allow God to lead you. That's just the truth. if you do not allow God to lead you and you use desperate means to want to get married, number one, you will not get married. That's the number one thing. And then even if you do, you end up with the wrong person. And that's the foundation of most of the marital issues that I get to handle. They are with the wrong person. By the time they start the story, there's no story. I am yet to cancel a couple that their story, a married couple, that their story didn't start from before they got married. Because in talking to them, then you now find out most of these issues that we're talking about there presented itself. It was there. It was there. It's just that nobody took, it was brushed off. So, the long and short of today's meeting, I said I would just do only 1 hour, is do not marry at any cost. I keep telling people, and when I say that, it's always that they don't listen. I said, it's not when we get to heaven that they will say, oh, married people rushing. Nah. Or if you are unmarried, stay behind. We have to check if you are worthy of heaven. Nope. In fact, if you are not careful, your marriage can make you miss heaven, because the things that you will do in that marriage can make one miss heaven. Absolutely. God takes us on paths that we could never have imagined. There are times that you think that this is the way, but God is the one that knows the way, because He knows the beginning, the ending from the beginning. You don't know. You have no idea. You just think in your human, estimation that this is the person I should go with. Without this person, I can't make it. Nope. God has a plan for everyone. If you don't identify what your own plan is, what God's plan for you is, you would rush into marriage and rush out. Most of the people that I know, well, a lot of the people that I know married early, I won't say most, a lot, are no longer there for varied reasons. So marriage is not, and I keep saying, marriage is not how early or how far, it's how well. It's how well. I know people who married recently who are enjoying their marriage. Yes, their mates are married years ahead before. It's not a competition. It's not a competition. Whatever plan and whatever God has purposed for each person, His word always comes true. It's just that willingness for us to hang on, hope, faith. It looks like perseverance, long suffering. You just never know when. But God always, He never disappoints. It always does it. So, before we go, I want to talk about my books once more. This a time to talk and a time to listen. It's Practical Guide to Communication on the Home, written by me. This was my very first book. This book is a collector's item, I tell you. It talks about communicating with your spouse, communicating in the bedroom, communicating about your children, communicating with your children, with your own relatives, in-laws, friends, neighbors, house help, hired help, driver, etc. This book tells you what you need to do to keep your home boundaries, setting boundaries. This is your book. It's for every married couple, I believe, should have this. Now, my next was sex is not on the menu. Sex is not on the menu is basically a practical guide to dating and courtship. Any young lady from the age of 13 should, I believe, lady or guy or young man should have a copy of this. It tells you when to get involved in relationship and when not to. When you don't, it's not everybody that should be in a relationship. This idea that everybody must be in a relationship at all time is part of what ruins people, because then you just rush and start dating somebody that you don't know, that you don't even want to be with. It's just that the idea of I have a girlfriend, I have a boyfriend, and trying to keep up with your peers, these are what causes trouble in the lives of people. And I keep telling people who you marry, and when I say from 13 to like, as long as you are old enough to be in a relationship, to like a 50-something, 60-something year old, will still get wisdom from this book. Sex is not on the menu. Then my last book is When In-Laws Become In-Laws. Practical Guide to Bonding with Your New Family. This is for in-laws. Anybody with in-laws, or if you are, and I keep telling people that whether you are an in-law or you have in-laws, whether you have in-laws or not, that's whether you're married or not, you are an in-law to someone, because perhaps your sibling, your cousin or something is married to someone, so you're an in-law. And what this book just tells is just very many real stories on relationships, with bonding with your new family, and wisdom in managing them, and making a success of your marriage and your home. And the testimony of this book, I keep telling you, in over 26 years, I've never been called to start begging any in-law, or maybe them scolding me or what. No, never. So thank you for joining me today. Next week we'll come up with another topic, and I'd like to thank everybody. I can't even begin to read all your names, but thank you so much for joining, and let's do this same time next week, Sunday. Bye.